Are you lagging?
Are you joining? No, I'm just saying it weirdly.
Okay, whatever. Anyways, welcome to the Broken Chat Box. I think we've begun. I swear to God, if this isn't live, I'm gonna be very upset.
It is live. I'm watching it.
Okay.
Can you join?
Yeah, I could, but now we have two separate parties going, and then Spark, as soon as I'm like, I'm gonna start, he like turned around and started talking to somebody.
Well, Sparks.
Oh,
Join
no,
me.
since you can join him now, just join him so you guys can play at your level.
But you are here, therefore you join the party. I have formed party. Join my party.
Okay, I joined his party earlier.
What are you doing?
I have now formed party. Now you can join party.
How dare you? Oh, I
Right?
could join both Fury and Spirit.
Just kidding. I clicked the wrong button.
Okay. Anyways, welcome to the Broken Chat Box. Oh my God, we finally got it working. Yes, begin party play. That only took 31 minutes. That is fine. That is perfectly
This is
fine. Anyways, welcome to the Broken Chat Box. We are playing
We're
Phantasy
walking into
Star
the distance.
Portable 2 today. Did you guys load in or no?
I'm
not
still
loading in.
Walking in the distance, waiting.
Network
on-
errors occurred.
Oh my God, it's still not working. Why?
Well, it wouldn't be the broken chat box if nothing was
No.
not broken.
Oh. I was so excited for it to actually be working, and apparently it's not. No, I don't want to save.
I'm gonna form a party this time. Join on me.
Yeah, we'll join Spark this
No.
time.
Don't join me.
We are trying so hard to get this to work.
Network occurred.
Anyways, have you guys played any interesting games while we're breaking everything? Yes, no?
Not really. No.
Oh my God.
New
you guys are
champion for League of Legends came out.
I'm not
Yes.
an interesting person. I'm sorry.
Super fun.
Anything besides League of Legends, because we talk about that every week.
I know.
I've been playing
I only play
RP
like
servers.
games, man. You're the only one that plays the weirdo games.
The weirdo games. I have joined Spark.
Oh God.
You now need to join Spark so that we can be sparked. Shocking, eh? So I'm the only one that actually plays like a variety of games, which is sort of boring. I tried getting my sister on this week because she plays some games. She plays mobile games, like Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, right? Is that what it's called?
I have
I don't
no
know.
idea. I don't play Animal Crossing.
Is that what it's called?
I don't know, but now I see you guys, so it worked. Final freaking Lee. And I also can't play in full screen, can I? Or can I? Oh, now that we're here, I'm gonna try it. See if I break it or not. Nope, seems to be working, and now it's capturing fine. Sweet. Awesome.
Hooray.
It's not broken anymore. See, okay, so we break it every week, right? So we break it, but then we figure out a way to fix it. We are modern engineers. I have no idea what class I'm playing or what items I have on. I am on my fighting class.
Start a mission. Diragne. Let's go.
Let's go. Center portal. Center portal. You go through the center portal.
Wait, I don't have anything. I might want to buy a couple of things.
Nope, go into the center portal. You created your character,
go.
you have items. They give you items to start with. And then you go in. I have waited an
there is no
entire hour
leader
to
at-
play this game. Let's go.
There's no leader at this. See, this is why I didn't want Spark to be leader.
Yeah, but for some reason, me and you are apparently having problems connecting to each other, which is very upsetting because we've played this game for like hours on end. You know what? I've been playing this game recently. Why don't we just talk about this game for a little bit? And then we can go
Let's do
into other stuff like League of Legends and other things that I've played this week. 'cause
All right, I
have
got a
played
mission
things.
started for us.
Yay!
See.
Time to one-shot everything. So yeah, so I've been playing this game again. This is a fun little game to go back to. But yeah, I tried playing PSO2 because I go back to it every once in a while, and
Wait, this is the other-
it needed to update. No, my buffs are better. My buffs are bigger than yours. My buffs are always bigger. But yeah, if you guys haven't played this game, it is a mobile game. You guys have frozen on my screen. Okay.
Whoops, sorry, that was an accident. I pressed escape.
Great. So this is why Spark should never host, but apparently
Exactly.
I can't
Boy.
host. But yeah, so this is a fun little mobile game, and we're playing it on an emulator. I have a 60 FPS patch for it, so if you want it, go ahead and look up on my channel for it. But yeah, I've been playing this because I take the bus a lot to my day job, because frick buying a car, because that's expensive and stuff. And so basically,
I have a car.
this is, yeah, you have a car. I don't have a car
have
because
a
they're
car.
expensive and they cost money. Spark is a car because he's a
No, no.
robot. He's a robot in the games. But yeah, so this is like an old school dungeon crawler almost in a sort of way. I have the wrong skills on this weapon. But yeah, it's a
Doesn't
simple
matter
action game.
because you guys are two-shotting him anyways.
Yeah, pretty much. Actually, probably one-shotting if I actually used my ability. Oh my god, can I pick up a monomate? I cannot.
My monomates are maxed.
But like, I've actually been playing through Phantasy Star Universe. I have a bunch of videos recorded for it and stuff like that, so I'm running a series and everything. But like, this is like an upgraded version of that, except graphically it's not so great. But like, this was like the best game on the PSP. So
was.
like, it's actually a decent game. But it's just a dungeon crawler. It's super, super grindy because you're just expected to run through things over and over again. But it actually has a semi-interesting story. You go through, it kind of takes up after the previous Phantasy Star games from the portable games. So it's like Phantasy Star Universe, and then it's Phantasy Star Portable 1, which, to be honest, don't have particularly amazing stories. Portable 1 was about taking care of a robot called Vivian, and she's actually kind of cool. But you determined how she ends up in the end, and it either gets her killed, or you get kicked out of the Guardians and become outlaws. So, spoiler alert.
For the
It's either,
outlaws.
it's either bad or bad. And then this one, you can run into Vivian again, but she's not the main character. Instead, you're teaching Amelia, I believe is her name. And so it's literally the exact same concept. But it's interesting because it has to do with agents.
She gets you killed.
She does get you killed, literally at the beginning of the game. The very first mission in the game, you are a freelancer, because that's what you are. You're a freelance mercenary, and you go to these ruins. You get locked into a chamber with her, and she's like, oh, well, this sucks. And then you're like, all right, cool, let's get out of here. And so you move on, and then at the very end, there is a giant Savolta that shows up, which is basically a robot robot thingy, and it straight up slices you in the head and kills you. And so at the beginning of the game, you're dead. That's how it works. And then the agents revive you, and then that's where the story takes off. But yeah, it's actually an interesting game. If you've ever been looking for an old PSP game to end up playing, it's actually pretty fun. It's a simple little action game to where you get your normal abilities and you got your special skill and you're able to equip a bunch of different stuff. Obviously, you can see it in the background. This one also has a dodge roll that I don't use nearly enough, and a block.
This block? How do you block?
It's, well, for me, it's my right bumper. I don't know what it is for you.
Oh, that's the same thing.
Okay. You can only use it with two-handed weapons or a shield. This game actually has shields. If you played the original PSO, they brought shields back in this game, except they're not a weapon. They're sort of like a support thing, so you can end up blocking with it if you ended up wanting to. Not particularly great, to be honest. I don't really like the shields in this game. They can nullify damage and reflect damage, and that's kind of how they work, but they don't really work on bosses all that well, so it's kind of meh.
Pointless.
Yeah, because this game is kind of like Monster Hunter in some ways, to where your main kind of objective, yes, there's a bunch of little dungeon crawling bits and stuff like that, but most of it is going and killing bosses. And boss rushes used to be a huge thing back in the day. Although we're just playing it with Spark, who had to restart his character because he didn't cross his save over when he reset his PC and stuff.
Like
Yeah.
a
Because
dummy.
someone's intelligent.
Hey, it's because I didn't play this game, so I didn't even think about it.
I know, you were like level 6 anyways. It's not like it mattered.
Yeah, exactly.
We actually had like a small group that was going to play this game, and then me and Evan were the only ones that actually played it. So that didn't go too well.
Nope.
Well, I mean, I'm level 102 now.
And I'm
so,
92.
yeah, so I even passed you, Evan.
You did. Not by much, but you did.
Here's D-Ragan! Literally the first boss of the Phantasy Star
Ready?
Universe line.
Ready? Ready to see it happen?
Oh, I'm almost
the
dead.
one-shot?
How do I heal again?
You use your items, or you use a healing spell. Do you have a healing spell?
Or
Never mind, it's
you
dead.
wait for me to destroy it.
Or you wait for Evan to destroy it and just, you know, walk away.
Cool guys don't look at explosions.
Cool mercs, don't look at dying dragons. Yeah, 18 mission points. Well, that was useful. I should switch classes. But yeah, I've actually been playing through Universe, though, which is the older version of this game, essentially. And story mode of that game is absolutely hilarious because it's like, it's in that range to where it's so bad it's great. You get what I mean?
I forgot
To where
to
it's
use
like-
this. Ra la 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 la.
But yeah, it's in that range to where it's just so bad that it's good though, because you're like going through it and it's like, this is terrible voice acting, this is terrible writing, this is terrible everything, but you're enjoying it because it's terrible. It's great. I mean, not that the game doesn't have interesting ideas. Like they have the whole racism thing going on, which is kind of weird.
I love it. Because what world would you live in if there wasn't racism?
You know, casts hate humans and stuff.
Well, humans are hated by everybody because they made everybody.
Yeah, well, yeah, the lore of Phantasy Star universe, at least, not Phantasy Star in general, but Phantasy Star universe is they literally like synthesized everyone, and so, long story short, everyone hates them because they basically enslaved every single race to do work for them, and so beasts were basically, you know.
The beasts were first. Then it goes, all right, we create beasts so they could do all our manual work, and then they revolted, moved off to a different planet. Like we failed. Oh shit. Then what was the next? The Newmans?
Yeah, they were like, wait, no, I think Cass and then Newmans.
The cat. Yeah, okay, then that's what it was. Then they made Cass, but then turn around, but the Cats were like, "No, fuck you, you humans. We're revolting."
Well, so what happened was they didn't revolt single like one at a time. It was all at once.
Yeah.
And so there was like at the beginning of Universe, if you watch my playthrough of it, it starts off like there was a 500-year war between all of the races, and then there was like peace and prosperity after a while or whatever, and so that's kind of where that heads off. But like, yeah, so basically they enslaved everyone. So they had Newmans doing their mental work. Cass were just robots, and so they were androids and everything. And then they had beasts who were just manual labor dogs, quite literally. So, yeah, it's not the
very cute. So
not the greatest lineage, I would say. Yeah,
everybody just hates humans because they created them. We hate our creators.
They didn't hate them.
Yes, they did.
No. Cass are the only ones inside the game that actually don't like other races because they want to be superior. They're like, you know, Cass makes sense. They're logical. They are the superior race. That sort of thing going on. I think I want
Cass
this.
Master Race.
Pretty much. That's what they end up doing. It's like the very first mission in this game specifically, or it's like the third mission or something. But like the second or third mission inside the original game is like this one cast android guy. I can't remember his name because, let's be honest, the names in these games are freaking forgettable as hell. But like he's just like humans. It's like that line specifically, and it's just like, great. They're fun games though. I like these games. There's not many localized, because there are a ton of like dungeon crawlers in Japan and stuff, but there's not a lot of like localized ones that are very good. They end up doing a lot of the localizations for ones that are not so niche. So we get a lot of the boring Digimon ones and stuff like that, but we don't really get a lot of the cool like anime style ones or the ones from Sega. The Shining series has had a few of them as well, and I really want to play those. So I'll probably end up playing those eventually. But those look really cool. Those are along the lines of this, what we're playing now.
All right, you want me to start a mission?
We've been waiting.
You could have started a mission a while ago. I'm actually going through my inventory and selling a bunch of useless crap and like switching up my equipment.
All right, so open tactical battle. What are you thinking?
Oh god.
You're only gonna have opens available. If you do the tactical ones, those are like special missions to where you have to like know what you're doing and stuff. And nobody wants to know what they're doing. That requires work.
Much. Anytime now, Spark.
I'm doing it. Just give me a second. I'm just choosing.
Demons above. That means there's gonna be a demon above us. Oh no.
Oh no. Terrifying.
Well, I guess we can move to League of Legends. I really didn't have much to say about Phantasy Star, to be honest. It's not new, so I never know what to say about it. So
it's always fun to play.
I mean, yeah,
Can you
but
switch
like
between your pellets?
hold down
using
the square button, circle button.
Circle.
Okay, thank you.
I'm using the Xbox controller, so it's
I am using an Xbox controller, therefore I was like B, but he's like, wait a second. It's not within the immersion of us playing on a PlayStation thing. But yeah, I guess we can talk about League of Legends, because I've actually played that this week a little bit. I've been playing it recently because they released a new ARAM mode and the new champion.
Well,
so,
it's not necessarily a new ARAM mode. It's an ARAM event and updated ARAM.
Yeah, so they updated the map for ARAM
qualities.
specifically. They brought back the Murder Bridge, which is based
What?
off of Bilgewater. Is that how you say it?
Yes, Bellswater.
Yeah.
Bilgewater.
So basically pirate themed. And it's really cool because the original ARAM map was actually Bilgewater beforehand as well. And it was called the Murder Bridge. And they ended up updating it with the new Freljord lore and stuff like that with the Ice Bridge. And it's cool and everything, and I like it a lot more, but you kind of get bored of seeing nothing but white and blue in ARAM. And so people who have actually followed my channel for a while would probably seen it quite a bit, because if I play League of Legends in the background, it's almost always ARAM, because it's kind of like a for fun mode.
We can swap to that game, actually, if you want to.
I would prefer
necessarily
not
after
to.
this. Oh,
I've played
you
it.
said not to.
We've played it on the podcast twice in a row.
The ARAM?
Yes,
Okay.
did.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, so
I'll-
they brought back Murder Bridge, and so they updated the graphics and everything. Where are we going? What are we supposed to do?
I
and
was
so
following you.
basically it has brand new cannons and things like that. So they actually have cannons that move and stuff like that. And it actually has a lot of good enhancements to the ARAM mode. And so they actually made it so that when characters, because in ARAM, it stands for all random, all mid. So there's only one lane. It is a MOBA, so there's only one lane, and then all the minions push down that single lane. And it gives everyone random champions. One of the problems was that a lot of games were determined by that randomness, and if somebody had a character, you could end up trying to trade them, but if both characters didn't, or both players didn't own that same character, then you couldn't trade. Which meant that basically there were some times where there would be a character somebody would get that you really wanted to play, but you couldn't actually get it. They made it so that now when somebody re-rolls, it actually goes into a bin, and anybody can select the characters out of that bin. And people get re-rolls like crazy now, so every single game you get at least one re-roll, which allows you to re-roll your character, basically.
Which is amazing, especially if you own all the champions.
Yeah,
'Cause
so
there's quite a few champions I don't like to play.
It's made it a lot easier to get really good comps for it. So the ARAM games went from being, all right, yeah, this is kind of fun and for fun and stuff like that, to actually being ridiculously fun, because now everyone can actually build a semi-relevant comp. And it's not like they are building optimal comps, it's just whatever comp they can come up with. But people have been better at kind of picking up characters that are actually better for the mode. And so
as
it's
well
just
as
been
picking up characters they can play.
yeah, it's much more interesting because people are able to like get characters and actually play the game properly instead of having that one guy where it's like, I can't play this character, so I'm just gonna sit here and do nothing in a bush all day.
I'm just gonna enter this whole game,
Which is really annoying. Which unfortunately, because I was trying to play over the weekend, which is when all the kiddies are online, and I was running into nonstop toxic people. Now, when I was playing Thursday and Friday, it was fine, and I didn't run into anything. But over the weekend, it was awful. Now that it's Monday, I could probably go back and play it a little bit and be perfectly fine. But oh my god, I had never seen people get so worked up over League of Legends in a freaking for fun mode that literally has no effect on anything whatsoever. They were acting worse than people freaking in ranked play. It was awful. Like, I saw one guy throwing down death threats because somebody wanted to play Orianna. And I'm like, for one, Orianna's freaking beast on this mode. And number two, chill the frick out. So, yeah, League of Legends is still an online video game. So if you don't like dealing with people online, good luck.
Don't play with that game.
That has been upsetting, though, to be honest. Because I was actually having fun with the mode for a while. But yeah, I'll be playing that quite a bit. I don't know if the map's staying, though. I haven't been able to find any sources to say if it is or not.
The event is I don't know, the map might stay, but I think some of the items won't stay.
Yeah, they actually have special event items.
I hope the Ghostwalker shoes stay.
Yeah, so they have shoes that...
Funniest. So only melee champions could use this, and what they are, if you know a champion, there's a champion called Kane, and he has an ability where he can go through terrain. Now, these boots do the exact same thing, but for a longer duration. You could do it for 6 seconds. Now, the funniest thing you could do with the boots is you could turn around and go right behind the enemy team. Of course, they can kind of see you, but they can kind of only see the outline of you. So if they're not paying attention, they won't know that you're there. You'll just, run up behind them, and you can just do funny things, and then go back to where you originally were doing.
To be fair, the visual effect is really freaking hard to see on that map.
Yes, I do agree. And if you don't know that it's there, then you probably won't notice it.
Yeah, so the problem with that map specifically, and this is a problem with the other ARAM map as well. So it's not like it's just this map specifically. But in the normal Summoner's Rift, which is the default map, or in Twisted Tree Lines, they have trees everywhere. And they have actual like physical objects there. But in that map, they don't. And so it's just a giant drop-off. It's literally a bridge. So when they say murder bridge, they literally mean a bridge that is for murdering. And so instead of having something that's like solid and then having an outline inside that solid thing, you just have an outline over a bunch of like visual things all the way in the background. Like they have a bunch of details, like they have moving water and little trees and like little houses and stuff like that. And so it's much harder to see visual effects from outside the map, which is one of my major complaints of that map. But aside from that, I actually like it a lot.
I love the new changes to ARAM, especially since like I kind of play it a lot just because I get really bad teammates, so I kind of play ARAM instead.
Yeah, you get annoyed at the normal mode, and then I shot him out of the air, shoot him in the ball sack into heaven. Okay,
Hit him in the head.
he's dead. I do like no
Wait,
damage on this class, by the way.
It's okay.
I really like the new items though. Like they also have one that returns
yeah.
you to the original point that you used it. Like it's a sword,
the
and when you activate it,
lethality item, it's a 4 second. You wait 4 seconds, and then you return back to a point that you placed it at.
yeah,
And it's
so
pretty funny because if you
it's
use
pretty
that
cool.
in combination with the Ghostwalker boots, you can slip behind the enemy team and then take out one person, and then go back to originally where you were, and you'll be safe.
Yeah. I was using it on
There is-
Rakan, and so I was like placing it, waiting 3 seconds, and then jumping in, charming everyone, and then it would teleport me back. It was really
There's-
fun. There's a
there was
lot
an
of cool
exploit.
combos you can do with them.
Well, I'm not sure if it's a exploit or a bug, but you can ult somebody with Camille and bring them back to your original position.
That
So
sounds
it's
like
kinda like a
mechanics.
Yeah, that just sounds like mechanics. But I mean, it could be something like a Skarner ultimate too.
Bark, if you're gonna run in circles, remember your party leader.
I know, right? At least be productive. We are waiting on you.
Oh, I thought you guys were like saving or something. That's why I was waiting.
Our saving is
everything that we're
completely
getting-
independent from you, so don't worry about it. Remember, this game was designed for the PSP, so
And
I
on
was
top
just
of
sending
that,
stuff to storage.
everything we're doing is not even necessarily worth saving. Not to sound rude or anything.
I'm leveling my ranger class.
Okay, well,
I'm shooting things with the black gun that has whiskers for. Oh my god, this thing has 3 barrels.
Wait, what?
Oh,
Oh,
Jesus. It's a shotgun, isn't it?
Yes, the shotguns don't
That's
always
what-
have multiple barrels. Not 3 at least. I mean, there's double-barreled shotguns. I thought it was a rifle for a second, but this is my rifle. It looks like a tree.
You don't think triple barrel shotguns are a thing?
Oh, I think they're a thing. It's just I didn't expect it to be this gun specifically. This looks like a spread needle. Wait, is this a spread needle but like Kubara? Oh my
Might
god,
be.
I don't remember. I don't remember what the spread needle looks like. It has a fake scope on it, like quite legitimately like a fake scope. It's just a flat. Like look at it here. Hold on. Look at it. It's just literally a flat thing on the top. It's not. It doesn't have any depth. I don't know if it's supposed to be like that or if it's like a joke because this game would do jokes like that.
It would. But it's also that kind of quality, so I could believe either way.
This was also on the PSP to where they had to save every little bit of performance they possibly could. Anything else? Spark, what have you been playing?
I've been playing recently some Arma 3 RP.
See, that's interesting. Talks.
What's that? Please enlighten us.
Well, for what I do, I am a deep sea diver. I excavate wreckage. And it may sound interesting, but
I
I can
yawned.
guarantee you it's boring.
I yawned.
Because
I
the
am
thing
about
is
to
that
yawn.
you use an item instead of actually excavating.
Oh, you don't actually go underwater and excavate
Well, you
shit?
do go underwater with scuba gear.
Oh. Because you need to make sure you watch out for them deer.
Yeah. It's not deer season yet. But yeah, you go in your scuba gear, but you just use an item and it just automatically does it for you. So it's not that particularly interesting. What's interesting is the people, though, because you get all sorts of personalities from all over the world, because, you know, it's the internet. And when it's RP, some funny situations come up.
Explain.
Haven't had anything particularly funny yet, though.
Oh,
I
so then
just
how do you
started.
know?
How do I know? Because I've been playing RP games for a while.
I honestly like
So I know
to
it's a
roleplay in
possibility.
certain games sometimes, but I just
I
don't.
remember we used to roleplay in Perfect World International, the deadly lesbian duo.
Yeah,
oh
that
my
was pretty
God,
funny,
Perfect
actually.
World, you guys played that?
Yeah, we played
International.
that
remember
years
that.
ago. We played it for like
It
6
was-
months and then never touched it again.
Yep.
That's the same thing with me. I did all the main quests.
Oh no, we
For,
got
before they
like
went
the
into the-
demonic and heavenly.
Yeah, we were like literally going God mode or whatever.
We were at the end game like shit, and
Yeah,
we
I
were
wasn't
just
that
like,
far, but
we-
I was
what,
like,
what made us move? I don't even remember.
For me, it was drama. I got sick of all the stupid drama stuff that was going on. That was at a very weird point in my life, and I had certain people around that I shouldn't have, to put it simple. So that was my reason mostly, but it was also the game is super, super grindy. I mean, we didn't have anything better going on in our lives at the moment, so it wasn't like that big of a deal at that time. But like in retrospect, like it took days to like finish up even like 4 quests in that game. Like it was ridiculous. They
Yeah.
give you like 4,000 quests and none of them were interesting. And most MMOs run into this problem as well, to where like it's one of the reasons why I like Black Desert so much, or Phantasy Star Online 2, for example. It's like you don't have to like do the quests. You can just go around and screw around and stuff like that. And there's always interesting things to do no matter what you're doing. But in Perfect World and a lot of MMOs, it's just kind of, here's a quest, go kill 4 of these, go collect 5 of this, now go kill 5 of these. They're the same enemy, but they're a different color. Oh, these are the same exact color, actually, never mind. And it's just, it didn't really have anything interesting going on for it. And it, like, once you end up getting to the end game, because I really love exploring in MMOs, in Perfect World, the problem is you've been everywhere by that point. So there's no new terrains, there's no new enemies, it's just higher leveled enemies with copy and pasted terrain. So, I don't know. Supposedly they fixed a lot of the endgame stuff as they've updated the game as it's still running, but I haven't gone back
Is
to
it
it. 'Cause,
really? Oh my goodness! I wonder if my account is still there.
mine is, I know
Probably.
that. But like I can't play tab target MMOs anymore.
Oh yeah,
whatsoever.
neither can I. Ever since PSO2 spoiled me. I'm sorry.
It wasn't even that. I was already kind of tired of them because I've been playing tab
Oh,
targets
yeah.
since Ragnarok Online. So like, it's been a while, and I just can't do it anymore. You fucking chatting. Let's go.
Let's go.
Congratulations.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you better be sorry.
I remember when I played this on the original PSP, and I used to play it online. By the way, when this originally was out on PSP, there was an online community for it. Oh, hey, I found a Escape Doll. And there was a lot of little kids looking for boyfriends and girlfriends, and it was hilarious. Anyways, when I used to play this online, I was
13 years old looking for boyfriend.
quite literally, that's what it would say. Normally it was the other way around, but yes, it was pretty bad. But I would intentionally make all of my stuff misspelled. And so you would see their characters stop. And for like 15 minutes, they would be just stopped. And then all of a sudden, they would type out like paragraphs worth of just stuff being like, you typed this wrong and this is incorrect. And la la la. I'm like, yes. Rage.
feed me with your rage.
Feed the troll. It was pretty funny because the people that were online on this game were generally speaking not very old and didn't really have anything going on. So it was a little unfortunate. In Japan, this game took off when it actually had an online community. It was actually pretty cool. Apparently, the Japanese version had a bunch of stuff that we didn't as well at its launch for online events and things like that we never ended up getting. We ended up getting it, like it was actually integrated into the game. But like, so we didn't get the content, but we didn't actually get like the online aspects to it. Like this game actually originally like linked with PSU and everything, or Phantasy Star Universe with the MMO and stuff. We never got any of that, which was a little bit unfortunate.
Man, I remember PSU.
Waiting for you guys
Oh
to
my
join.
goodness.
I'm in the mission by myself.
Cool. I'm selling all the crap that I'm getting from this useless mission.
Right.
Because my inventory, it fills up. You can actually just send it to the storage, but I like to sell it because I don't want to rummage through my storage to sell stuff.
I remember the first time I started playing Phantasy Star Online, or not online, Phantasy Star Universe. There were so many weirdos on that for the Xbox version.
Oh yeah, I remember the
So
demo. People were literally selling porn to each other.
I was one of those.
It was
I had a
quite literally
webcam,
a
so
thing.
I had a webcam, so I just took pictures of stuff on the computer and just set and sold it.
That's quite literally what people will do. It was sick. They kept that demo running for so freaking long. The
They
demo shut down only like 6 months before the full game shut down,
Yeah.
which is hilarious. Apparently, there's been progress on the private server, so they've been working. Scenic's been keeping me up to date, so if you're in the Broken Chat box, you might know him. But yeah, so they've actually been getting that working and stuff, so it's almost fully functioning, as in it has a few missions that you can play and stuff. So that's interesting. So it might come back, but honestly, I probably wouldn't play it online without a community. Because
Yeah, I agree.
that was one of the best parts about it. And that's one of the best parts about most MMOs that I don't really see a lot of people talk about online a lot, is to where, like, I see it in, like, people reminiscing about older MMOs. But, you know, like Perfect World, for example, one of the reasons I was playing it is because we had a group that we played with and we had a big community going on. And the community kind of fell apart because of drama, but, like, you know.
And then we
Aside-
turned around and became the lesbian duo.
Yeah, the lesbian duo who ran a guild. But like, aside from that, yeah, that's one of the major players inside of MMOs. And so if you actually have like a group to play with and stuff like that, that's a huge thing. And I don't think Phantasy Star itself, like if you wanted to play Phantasy Star, you play something like this game. If you just wanted gameplay, because this is a superior game. But like, yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to actually see if a community could actually hold up for the game nowadays. I don't know if it would. I would love it if Sega would have kept it running though, or if they would have ended up putting up their own like small server, but they're kind of keen on shutting things down years too late. So I don't know. Spiral Knights is still running though, but it's no longer ran by Sega. That was another game they were going to try to shut down after years where it wasn't unpopular, to where it was losing them money. But then the original devs ended up picking it up, and they're like, "Yeah, screw it. We're gonna run it." And so it's actually been getting updates, which is interesting. I haven't gone back and played it yet, though. That's another game I played during the PSU era. Spiral Knights.
Yeah, I didn't play that too much. I tried it like once or twice with you.
You said it was boring.
I said it was boring.
I like it. I think it's a fun little casual game. That's about it, really.
I like games I can get in grinding.
Well, that is a grinding game.
Well,
It's a dungeon crawler grinding game.
I found it boring.
Yeah, it's only got like attack button, and then now it's got pets and stuff like that too, which they added like years ago. But I mean, it's got pets to have abilities and stuff like that. But it is mostly just look at enemy, tap button to attack, and then that's pretty much it. But it's got a nice aesthetic to it. It's just a fun little casual game to play. It used to have an energy system, but they ended up removing it after like a year or two after it was launched. Because, quite frankly, the energy system was BS, to where it's like, we're going to limit the amount that you can play our game, which is never a good idea. It's one of the reasons why I hate the freaking mobile market so much. Because they all have freaking energy systems. I found a new rhythm game. I haven't played it yet, but I found out it has an energy system.
Oh, that's so unfortunate.
That's unfortunate.
It is sucky. But yeah, it's by New Wiz. It's called it's called fuck, it's not on my
That's an
home
interesting
screen.
name.
It's called oh my god, where is it? I don't know where it is on my phone. Tap Sonic Top. It's a Tap Sonic game, which I think there's two of. I don't know. It's a rhythm game. It's like Guitar Hero, but with like touch game mechanics and stuff like that. I like rhythm games. Rhythm games are fun. I still think Hachi Hachi is my favorite mobile rhythm game though.
I
did a video
That was
on that.
interesting. I know. I remember.
Yeah, I made you play it with me to see if multiplayer
Yes.
worked. I was like, well, my sister's
I
being
was-
a bitch,
I-
and
I
like,
was-
not really. She was just busy.
Terrible.
Yeah, you were awful at it.
I am terrible at rhythm
It's
games.
a hard freaking game. Hachi Hachi is like next to impossible. It's a rhythm game. If you've never played it, may as well talk about it. It's a rhythm game to where, you know, you get the notes and stuff like that, they head to the thing, but instead of being a straight line or anything, it's got a circle. And so you have to tap them when they reach the end of the circle, and they do a lot of really cool things with it. So some songs they'll like rotate, sometimes notes are jiggling, and like sometimes they have specialized notes and things. And so they actually have a full, like, it's kind of like free, but also linear. And so it's a free rhythm game while also being a linear rhythm game. So it's interesting. If you've never tried it out, check it out. It's called Hachi Hachi. They're on version 8 or something like that. It doesn't get a lot of updates, but it constantly has events, and they have a lot of collaborations with other rhythm games, and so you actually see a lot of crossover songs on it and stuff. It's got a great soundtrack. I love most of the music on there. It is fantastic. And that's one of the most important things about a rhythm game is I've played a few others, like there's Vows, or Vows, I don't know how to say it, but it's like a Korean one.
Yeah,
but
there's
it has,
one that I want to play.
It's
called
all
Beat
pop
Saber.
idols.
Beat Saber, I want to play it, but you need
Yeah,
the
you saw
VR.
Beat Saber, which is a VR game, but you need VR setup to
know.
play it. So, yeah. But that's another
It's not
rhythm
worth-
game that people recommend. I've never played it, so I can't necessarily recommend it, but I can say other people have said it's good.
One
only
rhythm game I
heard
can
things
recommend
about
is
it.
Audio Surf.
Yeah, Audio Surf
an
is
old
pretty good
one.
as well, although that's a little bit of an older one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have Audio Surf 2 now, which I've never played.
Oh, it's terrible.
Is it?
Compared to the first one, yes.
What's different about it?
Honestly, I can't really say, but in comparison,
It's terrible. I don't know why it's bad.
Well, like they added like new concepts to it, and it just kind of fucked up the whole thing.
They
you know, like,
overcomplicated it.
Yeah, they overcomplicated it rather than just leaving it at like simplistic rhythm game.
I get
You
you.
know, and then, like they just added way too much detail to it, and it's just like, it would be cool if it wasn't so simple to begin with.
I don't know. Some people like extra mechanics. I love it when rhythm games throw in too many mechanics, but I have seen a few rhythm games in the past that have overcomplicated it to where it's like, oh, you got to hit these notes while you're holding this, and then hold this, and while you're holding that, you also got to hold this and do this. And I'm like, all right, this is no longer a rhythm game. This is micromanagement, that sort of thing.
Exactly.
But yeah, I don't know. I really like Hachi Hachi though. It's kind of got this BS ad system to where it shows you ads if you don't pay money, which is annoying and stupid, while they also have microtransactions, which is also stupid. But I've yet to find a mobile game that doesn't do all that bullshit, and so it's kind of something I have to live with. I've just used an ad blocker on mobile. I use a thing called Blockta, which just literally blocks literally everything. I have to make sure the app actually runs or whatever, but yeah, it blocks pretty much all ads, which is good.
That's
So
actually
in-app
pretty
ads and
awesome.
stuff, which has made mobile gaming actually possible. Because, yeah, one game that doesn't have ads, though, that I'm actually doing a video on either tomorrow or Wednesday is called Honkai Impact. I started playing that again because I never finished my video for it. That game doesn't have ads in it. But it is a Japanese dungeon crawler. And it's actually pretty good, I will say. It's kind of like a simplified action game, but it kind of reminds me of Phantasy Star in certain ways, to where you got your main attack and then you have a special attack, but you charge up your special attack. It's like an ultimate ability or whatever. One chick, she just pulls out a giant freaking laser out of her butt and just like lasers everyone, because of course it's Japanese. They gotta have a giant laser and it has to come out of the butts.
Of course.
But yeah, it's actually pretty
Didn't
decent.
get me wrong.
It has a nice style to it, so it's all, you know, cell shaded and stuff like that, but it actually has like good quality animations and stuff. And so it's fun. The problem with it, though, is the fact that, one, it has an energy system, which I've never run out of energy because I don't play it for more than 10 minutes at a time. But it also has the benefit of having online multiplayer, like co-op and stuff like that, to where you can fight like super bosses and things, or go into an arena and fight endless enemies. They have a lot of smaller stages, and so it's really good for like small sessions. So like if you want to just like play it for 5 minutes, it's really good for that. And it's really, really fast paced and really, really well timed and stuff like that. So like if you actually want to go through all the combos and stuff like that are based on timing rather than pushing a button to different buttons. And so it translates over to a touchscreen pretty well. My problems with it come down to the simple fact that it doesn't support a gamepad, which is upsetting. Because I
is
would totally
terrible.
play with a gamepad, because it's actually a half-decent game, aside from the energy system and the fact that it has microtransactions. But yeah, like aside from that, it's a free-to-play game called Honkai Impact. I think it's a version 3rd or whatever. I don't remember what it's actually fully called, but yeah, that's actually fun. It's actually a decent mobile game, and it doesn't run ads or BS you with microtransactions all the time. Like, you can play it perfectly fine without them. And it gives you a ton of premium currency to reroll characters and stuff like that for their gacha system. But you can also buy characters normally too, so you don't really have to use it at all, which is nice. But yeah, I've been having fun with that. I don't play it very often. I play it like for 10 minutes every week. It has constant events that I don't play. But I love the bosses in that game because it's actually semi-challenging. Because again, all the combos are timing based, and so if you screw up your timing, you actually, get your butt kicked. It tries to run at 60 FPS though. It's one of the few mobile games I've seen that actually has graphics options. Like, I wish this game was actually on PC because, while it wouldn't be particularly amazing on PC, to be honest, it would still be a fun little game because it's actually well built and it actually has a bunch of graphics options and stuff like that. So it tries to run at 60 FPS. Normally fails on my phone, and I have a Galaxy S7, which is better than most people's phone, to be 100% honest.
You need that new Razer phone.
Yeah. Oh, did you hear? Frick, who was it? Somebody's coming out with a new gaming phone. I can't remember exactly who it is, but somebody's coming out with a new phone.
Not the Razer one?
It's a phablet
Is
one.
it
That's
the
not the
Asus
Razer one.
one that has dual screens?
No, it's not a dual screen
No
one.
way.
Is there a
That's
dual screen
it.
one coming out?
That
That's
sounds
the
ridiculous.
news article that I was gonna talk about. Spoilers.
So let's
Oh.
go ahead and bring that up then.
Sure,
Segue
we're on
into
topic.
that? Okay, so Asus ROG made a phone that is a high-end gaming system.
This is
that
the one I heard about.
Yeah, and pretty much a quote from one of the spokesmen. I don't remember the spokesman's name. It's not a
does?
quote on here. It was a quote on another news article, but it pretty much was built for PUBG. That's what they stated.
Oh, that's ugly.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
PUBG runs like ass on mobile though, so if it can run PUBG, then it can run most things.
Yeah.
God, I have a news
Probably
article
run
about Bluehole, by the way, but we'll bring it up
It'll prob-
later.
It'll probably run Fortnite even
Yeah,
better.
it's a dual screen device.
That's my thought.
With
Stand on the button!
oh, sorry, I was
Thank
looking
you.
at it. It's a 6-inch 18 by 9 display that runs at 90 hertz. And it
What's
also
with these
has an
mobile phones
external-
wanting higher refresh rate? I just want a powerful CPU and a good display at 60 that will fucking run it. They're driving up the cost for no reason. Sorry.
They are.
Raging.
Well, they also have their own cooler that comes with it. Like, you can plug it into desktop mode. Oh, I died.
You straight up got murdered. Hold on, I'm pretty sure I have a moon somewhere eventually. These guys can't even hurt me.
Yeah.
Can they? Can they?
But there's a desktop
okay.
dock where you can connect it to your computer or a
That's why I've been
monitor.
debuffing. That I'm just getting.
Wait, do they actually
hit
have
by-
it so you can like share the screen? Because if so, I might actually buy one just for the simple fact that I can use it for capture on mobile games.
They might.
Because what I'm having problems with right now capturing mobile is that I have to use a mobile device to capture it because no modern mobile devices have pass-through or HDMI support. The last one that came out that actually has decent performance is either the Google Pixel C, I think it is, which is $980. And not worth it because it's not that powerful of a machine, or the NVIDIA Shield tablet that came out years ago, and that is massively underpowered in comparison to today's devices.
Yeah.
So I really want HDMI or a pass-through.
Well,
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Well, USB Type-C, you can convert that to HDMI via adapters. And that
Yes,
will
but
work
does it
with
have
mobile.
pass-through? Does it support it? Because if the device doesn't support any sort of pass-through, you're not going to get anything from it. Like if it doesn't support HDMI out, then it's not going to have the software to do so.
Well, with this, you're able to connect to a desktop or a monitor, so I can assume that HDMI pass-through is a thing.
Hopefully.
And-
Hopefully it is, because if it is, they might have just sold me their product.
And here's the
Thank
key
you, Spark,
specs.
for selling another.
Well, I was going to look up more info on it because I've been interested in mobile gaming for a while.
Yeah. Key specs.
I might release my
Speed
game on
bin,
mobile if I can get it
2.9
running.
gigahertz,
No, shit.
Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 processor. That's one of their fastest ones out there, by the way.
I can't remember exactly what the numbers are for which ones are fast or not. It's always confusing
Yeah.
when it comes down to mobile devices because they have so freaking many of them.
Well, and not to mention with Qualcomm, none of their numbers make sense because sometimes a higher number could be a lower end processor.
It's kind of like NVIDIA's system to where it's like, the 1070 is, weaker than a 980 or whatever. That sort of thing. I mean, theoretically, anyways. Because it's like, it goes by model and then, like, the model within the model range.
Yeah. And
I think the
it
900
has-
series is what they're on now for Qualcomm.
And what they're calling their shoulder buttons, they're calling them air triggers. And it has a side USB port for charging while horizontal gaming.
Which is actually kinda
4,000 milliamp hour battery, which that is massive. 4,000 milliamp hours? Holy crap. Anyways,
One thing that is confusing though is it a phone or is it a tablet?
it's a 6-inch phone, but it's like it folds up into like a DS lookalike.
Okay. So that's why it looks so large when I ended up seeing it. Because I saw pictures of it. Because I follow them on Twitter. Because I'm a fucking nerd. I was following them on Twitter and I saw a few pictures of it. And that's where I originally heard about it. I didn't actually look up any news articles for it yet. Because I've been busy. Sorry. But yeah,
and
like,
there
it looks
is
interesting.
information out for it, but like, yeah, I don't think that there's pricing out yet. But from what I'm seeing in this article, I'm gonna directly quote from CNET's article. Asus claims that the ROG phone is the fastest on the market at the moment. It also said that the phone's battery will last over 7 hours during Wi-Fi connected gaming. We look forward to putting that to the test, although the company didn't announce when exactly the phone would be released. Okay, that's a comment that they said. But pretty much, yeah, that's intense for mobile gaming at that like magnitude.
my phone
And it's gonna
lasts
be
like
with an
2
AMOLED
hours.
display too.
Yeah, mine doesn't last very long as well.
Phones
So,
weren't designed for
7
that.
hours.
And it's
And you gotta keep in mind, this is Wi-Fi connected gaming with 2 screens running at
yeah.
1440p AMOLED displays. That is insane.
Well, those don't use nearly as much power as normal E LEDs.
Well, yeah, normal IPS, and that's why they're excited about their battery life, because it's natural cells, pretty much.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. It depends how hot it runs, but it surprises me that it's taken this long to get actual legitimate devices for Android, for as much Android development as there's been. It seems weird because Android games have been wildly successful for a very long time, and yet we've had like 2 gaming machines released for Android. Not like gaming machines as in like the Ouya, which was awful, but like rather, actual usable devices like the Razer phone or the NVIDIA Shield tablet, which the NVIDIA Shield tablet, people still highly recommend that thing. It is an incredible machine. It's unfortunate that they decided to make that into a TV line. But it surprises me that it's taken this long, because when I was shopping for stuff, it's like I would either buy something from 2009 or I would, not buy one at all. And people are like,
I died again.
what's the best Saturn Moon Atomizer? It is like, what's the best gaming device? And it's like, oh, just get the new Samsung phone, because it's literally like the best thing out there. And it's not built for that. The battery doesn't last very long. It heats up like crazy because it's not meant to run at those speeds the entire time. So whenever you're gaming on any of those modern phones, they heat up like crazy. They run through battery. The software isn't designed for it, even though they'll advertise like, we've got a gaming mode. It doesn't work. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting. I'm surprised NVIDIA dropped out as early as they did. I think that might be partially because of Nintendo's partnership thing, to where they're like, oh, we'll just go into consoles, because they've been fighting over the console space for a long time.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know.
Especially with AMD having big market share with consoles.
Yeah, well, that's because they're cheaper. And NVIDIA's like, we can't sell our chips cheaper because we spend more money to make them. So, yeah, like AMD just got those slots because they were cheaper, because they don't spend as much money, because they don't have as much money to spend. So, I don't know. A little bit unfortunate. It's kind of kicked both of the console makers in the butt a little bit when it comes down to feature sets on their devices, but what you gonna do? When you buy cheap, you get cheap.
Yep.
I'm so mad the current console generation is still going, though. It's very annoying. Not because I'm like anti-console or anything, but rather I want to get those integrated systems sooner rather than later, and it's really holding back a lot of stuff. I read an interview, this was like 2 weeks ago or something like that, I just didn't bring it up in the podcast, but I was reading interviews from a lot of developers over in Korea having problems with new engines and stuff like that, just because consoles can't run very well because they're trying to port like a lot of MMOs, like, you know, Black Desert, for example, is being brought to Xbox One, which we mentioned 2 or 3 podcasts ago. And so, yeah, they were talking about how like they were having trouble with that. And so it's like the
How are you
modern
taking damage, Michael?
Did I?
I mean, I've been healing you, but
Really? I haven't been paying attention. I'm just shooting things with a shotgun. This is my life. I'm an American. I did take damage. I took 8 damage.
I know.
I almost killed
Wow.
myself. Thank you.
But yeah, so like so-called modern consoles are falling behind phones now because now once this new phone comes out that we're talking about, do you know a name for it?
There's a Valve phone coming out?
No, the phone that we were talking about just a second ago.
I
Direct
thought you
phone.
said Valve. Okay, I'm sorry, my bad.
No.
This is the Asus ROG phone.
ROG phone.
That-
Okay.
That's just what it's called, ROG phone.
The
I know,
Asus.
very inspired name.
They're not very creative when it comes to their names. Thanks, Asus.
But that's okay, because they make for it in raw power.
Yeah, they make good stuff. I'm using a Asus monitor right now. It's freaking amazing.
I'm using an Asus GPU.
I'm not.
MSI over here.
Yeah, me and Evan got the same brand, MSI. That'll be interesting though, because these phones, they're going to start getting more powerful than consoles, and consoles are still trying to push like, we've got good graphics, guys, and they don't. They really
No,
they don't have the power for it.
Yeah, they're just
They just don't. What I want out of mobile gaming though is I want constant frame rates. So if I can get a device that allows me to have pass through for one, and allows, I got to shoot it once, and also has
welcome.
solid frame rate,
For
that's
that
what I
one
want.
shot.
I'll be perfectly fine with that, because what I want is essentially I want a DS that's not held down by freaking Nintendo, basically is what I want, or a PSP that's not held down by Sony, because I love gaming on the go, I really do, and I have a 3DS, but Nintendo's kind of ditched it at this point. I still have games I haven't played for it, but yeah, I still play Rune Factory every once in a while, but that's about it.
Oh boy. The Rune Factory.
Rune Factory 4. I freaking love that game. I haven't played it recently, but I want to. Citra just got some updates, which is interesting, talking about news and stuff like that. A lot of emulators have been getting updates recently, and there's been some good progress on the PS3 emulator and the Xbox 360 emulator. So they've actually gotten, I think, 50% of the Xbox's library running now, which is interesting. Now, to note, that's not necessarily playable so much as it launches into the game and you can either navigate a menu or move in the game. So it's not necessarily playable, and the graphics are obviously broken for a number of reasons. But they actually have games booting up, and the PS3 emulator actually runs a lot of games perfectly fine with very little glitches and actual solid performance. So they have God of War 3 running now. They've had Demon Souls running for quite a while, and we're actually getting some good pushing forward to actually get a good PS3 emulator, which is interesting because the PS3 actually has some interesting exclusives that I'll never play. So
yes, I agree as well. There's a bunch of fucking PlayStation 3 games I want to play, but I'm just like, I'm never buying a PlayStation 3.
The games I want to play on it aren't on it. So not in English anyways, because I love JRPGs, as anyone who follows me will know, and I'm super excited for some coming up. But like, the things that I want to play on those are JRPGs, and most of them are Japanese exclusives. All of my weapons except for my saber are dark. That doesn't matter. I'll still probably two-shot these guys.
I'm coming, Spark. I'll save you.
So I probably won't get too much use out of an emulator. Besides, getting the games and like ripping them and everything is kind of a pain in the ass, and I don't feel comfortable downloading PS3 games quite yet. So yeah, I don't think it's old enough for that. And I'm holding out for a lot of PC ports. There's been a lot of PC ports of a lot of these games, and I'm hoping Sony will finally turn a leaf eventually, because Microsoft sure as hell has. Microsoft's just screw it, we're just going to jump on PC.
That's where all our marketing is anyway.
Yes. Speaking of that, you know, Sunset Overdrive and stuff like that was announced for PC as well, so that's actually coming out. Activision said that the Spyro remake will be on PC. The Insane trilogy for the Crash Bandicoot games is coming to PC. So I might just hold out for a while and not really worry about this emulation stuff, but it's actually kind of interesting to see. Because, I don't know, we thought that we'd never see a 360 and PS3 emulator, and we're actually getting to a point now to where we have fully playable games from start to finish. Which is cool.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Emulation's gone a long way.
Yep. To note, though, you have to have a beast of a machine to run them at proper frame rates. Just a warning.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, people are running them. Speaking
I
of
mean,
emulation,
later
they also
on,
have the Nintendo
optimizations will
consoles.
come.
What's up?
Later on, optimizations will come, and it will be easier and easier
Yeah.
to run. The only problem that I can see with PS3 emulation is that they used a cell processor that was not x86. So it's probably a lot of multi-threaded uses, so you're going to need a lot of cores for that one.
Possibly. I'm not necessarily sure how it works because I haven't really read up on it too much. I've been following the progress, but I haven't been following the specific updates they've been doing. So that would be interesting to see how that actually goes through. I think they're all focused on accuracy at the moment. Xenia is just an experimental one, but I think the PS3 one, which is like RPCS3 or something, I keep forgetting the name for it, sorry. But like they're focusing on accuracy, so I think optimizations are pretty far down the line, to be 100% honest. There's 3 different freaking Switch emulators right now that are actually working and booting up games. And so a new one, I forgot the name of it, apologies again. I'm terrible with names.
We should play Mario Party.
Do they have a Mario Party on Switch yet? I don't think so.
Yes. I thought there was. I could have sworn there was.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No.
But
My dreams
yeah,
have been
so
murdered.
there's emulators that are now booting up. There's a new one that just started out and it booted up Mario Odyssey. And so actually has Mario Odyssey going to fully playable basically soon. So yeah, they've already had Breath of the Wild emulated for a long time. So now that they have Mario Odyssey and Splatoon 2 and stuff like that, now that all those are getting emulated over, almost the entire library is going to start working for the Switch emulators, which is interesting and probably the fastest progression on any emulator to ever happen.
Oh, yeah.
The reason for that being is for the simple fact that they decided to go with NVIDIA, and
Yeah,
NVIDIA
that's
has
exactly what I was going to say.
it's
And
built
that's
on
probably
well-documented
x86 too.
hardware. Because NVIDIA lets you know exactly what they're doing, and I think Nintendo's sort of okay with it. I think. Well, they're not okay with the emulation stuff. They're obviously not okay with that because they never are. But in terms of
unless
like
if
the
it's
hardware
Virtual
they picked.
console.
Yeah, I mean their console's doing well. I think probably. Right.
Maybe.
No, the Switch is doing well. It is.
Yeah. I've considered wanting to buy one a few times, but I remember I'll play like 3 games on it and that's it. And it's a Nintendo platform, so it will never have anything interesting to me. So that's a little bit unfortunate. People have been saying it's a great indie machine, but I play all my indie games on PC. And if an indie isn't bringing their game to PC, well, they're fucking morons. So,
Exactly.
yeah, it's because the PC is an infinite immortal platform. It's going to have games forever, so there's no point not to bring it over. Now, I may say that, and then 20 years down the line, somebody, whenever I end up getting popular, will be like, you said this thing, and now PC's dying, and I'll be like, yeah, whatever. But, yeah, you can always end up making games run on PC, so...
PC Master Race.
Yeah, and I don't mean that in a toxic sort of way. I mean, I'm fine with people having the Switch and stuff like that. I just mean that as in, like, I think PC is the end game for when it comes down to video game development.
I mean, the way I see it is,
It reaches a
video
near
games
infinite
are
audience.
designed on PC, so bringing them to PC shouldn't be that difficult.
Well, it's a little bit harder than you'd think, just because you have to optimize for different types of hardware that you can't predict, which is actually pretty difficult. I'm currently using Unreal Engine 4, which kind of does most of that for me, so I don't really have to worry about it. But there's still specific stuff. Like right now, I'm kind of working with my own lighting and stuff like that and trying to make my own systems for that. And I have to make sure that I watch my polygon count for specific types of hardware. For example, like low-end laptops, or if I want to move to mobile, I have to watch my polygon count, which isn't necessarily as much of a problem on console because you have very strict limits and you know it's going to be the same hardware every time. But if you're talking about mobile specifically, especially, then you have to watch out for like, oh, I have to, design for the lowest common denominator, but stuff that works on the lowest common denominator may not work on the highest end phones sometimes. Like this emulator that we're using right now, PSP, for example, has micro-stuttering problems on newer graphics cards like the 1070 sometimes. So depending on your driver versions, it'll have micro-stuttering, which is super, super annoying. So I have to use Vulkan. Problem with Vulkan is it's broken on my drivers for the latest version of PSP. So therefore I have to use an old version of PSP. So yeah, designing for PC is a little bit harder than you'd think, but at the same time, it's not hard to get things running on PC. It's just getting it running flawlessly is a little bit more difficult. That said, though, console games and mobile games are kind of buggy as hell right now, so I don't really think that's an argument either, so whatever. What other broken releases have come out over the last few weeks or whatever? I don't know what's been releasing lately. None of the games I'm interested in have been releasing.
I'm not sure. Yeah, same here. The most recent patch in Fortnite has been buggy as hell.
Honestly, I'm not exactly excited for anything except for maybe the new Fallout because it has co-op. But that's like the maximum.
Oh what? No way.
Oh, so you haven't heard about
it
that
comes
yet?
With co-op,
I did
and
not.
It comes
Well,
with-
okay. One, it's rumored and speculated that it's going to be multiplayer. I
Oh,
don't,
yeah.
way, I might
I don't
actually
think
get
they've
this one.
confirmed yet.
Oh, they
So
haven't
Fallout
confirmed none of this
76.
yet, no.
Spark, you want to explain?
I only know a few of it from a friend, but it was like I don't remember the guy's
Okay.
name, but it's a verified Bethesda leaker or whatever. Like pretty much like
Yeah,
guy has
so
leaked a bunch of
Mr. Anonymous, we'll say, because he's been mostly keeping himself anonymous, although most people know exactly who he is. Basically, he announced that it's going to be like open world multiplayer and said it might have some survival elements. And so the rumor is right now that they did an announcement teaser trailer thingy for a while, and it was called Fallout 76, which was, I guess in the lore, it's supposedly the first shelter that opened or something like that. And so based on that sort of lore, because this would be like after they open the vault, so there's no civilization whatsoever on the planet. And so these people are just going out into the wilderness. What they're doing is, for one, they're taking in that sort of leak, basically, and being like, okay, it's going to be open world and multiplayer. And then they're taking the idea that it's Fallout 76. So they're like, oh, well, they're just going to be expanding on the whole idea of colonization from Fallout 4 and making that into an online multiplayer game. Now, I'm worried it's going to become another boring sandbox survival game, which isn't very interesting. But it is Fallout. And they have confirmed that there's going to be quests. So they said there's going to be a main quest line and side quests, et cetera, et cetera. And there's going to be voice acting, which is fine. And so,
Usually
yeah.
terrible.
Well, it depends if the main character is a specific main character, because when it came down to Fallout 4, there was a lot of problems with it because they had voice acting, and so they had to limit the lines. And when you actually read the line and then the spoken line came up, it was completely different and had a different tone than you were expecting. So it changed the RPG feel, which was Fallout 4 in a nutshell, quite frankly. So yeah, a lot of people are speculating that it's going to be a multiplayer thing. The problem is we don't really have anything confirmed other than it's going to have a main quest line and side quests. So we don't know yet.
We have no idea.
But that might be
I
exciting. Maybe.
I've helped a lot of friends play that game because people come to me and be like, "Hey man, I can't get past this part. Can you help me?" And I'll
What,
just be like,
Fallout?
"Yeah, all the time."
Fallout is
People do
piss
it.
easy on normal.
I don't even understand. I've never actually played the game myself, but the times that I have actually played it, it was really fun. But like, I don't like the solo playing RP elements by itself. You know, like I'm an RP and all that junk. I want to do it with people.
Yeah, you're
know,
not much of a classic RPG player, to be honest.
But like there
I
there
am,
are
though,
a
so I'm way into it.
there are a few RPs that I have played by myself and I've enjoyed really well. The Dark Souls. The Dark Souls.
that's a
for
much
example.
different genre.
Yes. And
But yeah, like
I don't know.
the story-oriented stuff, you're not necessarily into when it comes down to solo play sometimes.
No, not
for-
necessarily. But I do enjoy story. It's just I don't know. I've kind of gotten bored of like single player games. Like, in my opinion, the way
I don't know. You love the South
Yeah.
Park games.
oh
I
yeah,
I think
do
you'd like
love
the
them.
Neptunia games if you've played them.
I probably would have to. I would. I
'Cause
probably
they're
would.
ridiculous.
I just don't want to have to go from the start to finish. That's one of those games that I would want to do start to finish, but I don't want to do all that.
They're not that long, actually. They're like 30 hours each, which is long, but like it's a
Which
JRPG.
is long,
But it's short for a JRPG.
right?
When it comes down to it, I'm excited for the new JRPG. I already talked to Lynx about it, but the Shining Resonance Refrain. I'm so excited for that one.
What's that one?
That's the JRPG by Sega.
Oh,
That's
okay.
coming out. It has the dragons
What's
in
it?
it.
It's got dragons in it. Ooh, interesting.
We already talked about it.
We did.
Was it last week or the week before?
No,
I remember.
I don't even know.
It was one of those weeks. I talked about it in links. It has dragons in it. Apparently, you're a dragon summoner,
On a side note,
so you get to fight as a dragon, which is fucking rad.
PUBG's suing contract is finally going through to sue Fortnite.
Yep, but they're doing it in Korea. So, this is funny. This is absolutely hilarious.
Oh, God.
So what's happening is they couldn't do it in the U.S. like they threatened to before, because they're like, we're gonna sue you for copying us because our players think they're the same game, which isn't true whatsoever.
It's not at all true.
So they
By
went
the
to
way,
Korean
Fortnite's
court.
better.
They went to Korean court, and they're like, all right, we're gonna sue you over here because you mentioned our name in your advertisement. The initial advertisement for Fortnite was like, oh yeah, remember PUBG? Yeah, we made another battle royale game. And they were saying we were inspired by PUBG or whatever. Like they were actually saying PUBG's a good game, go play it. Like that's quite literally what they said at the end of the trailer. They got very mad about it because Bluehole's a bunch of freaking puss. But like whatever. So yeah, they got really mad about it, and they tried to sue them in the U.S. or they were going to threaten it. But I don't think any lawyer were able to actually look at that seriously and not laugh their head off. So they brought it over to Korea, which has some stricter but also more lax laws on trademark depending on where you're coming from. So I don't know if it's better for them or worse, but either way, everyone is laughing at them. So the statement was, because the original statement that they made when they were talking about, suing in the US, which would actually affect them, which it won't affect them if they get sued in Korea. Like, what the hell do they care? They were like, yeah, well, your game is too similar and it steals a lot of our mechanics and iconic ideas. And they didn't actually really specify anything. They just said it. And everyone's like, you can't just say that you made Battle Royale and then sue everyone because they made a Battle Royale game.
Halo making the first person shooter
and
Call of Duty.
On top of that, they did follow through and try to sue a bunch of mobile games that were actually very much ripping off of it. Fortnite is its own game. It is completely its own game with its own art style, its own mechanics, and its own world and stuff like that. And it's a completely different game. It's very obvious that it is not PUBG.
But there was a lot of PUBG clones on mobile.
Yes, but these mobile games, they are almost exactly like PUBG, down to a freaking T. But these lawsuits didn't go through. They failed in court. The mobile games just went off with some return money, and basically Bluehole just lost a bunch of money trying to sue these companies, and nothing happened. So what do they think they're going to gain from trying to sue Fortnite and Epic Games, especially in Korea of all places? Because their statement now is the fact that you mentioned our name in your advertisement initially years ago, and for one, they didn't act on it for several years. So I don't know about Korean copyright law, but if you were in the US and you didn't act upon it for years, you're just going to get laughed at in court, which they probably will in Korea as well. But again, they're like, you mentioned it and we didn't give you permission to mention our name, which for one, that's not copyright or trademark. You don't own your name. You're only owning your name if somebody is trying to confuse consumers into it thinking that it's your product. Yeah. They weren't. They were like, hey, we were inspired by these guys. Go check them out. This is another game that exists. You can do that. Companies do this all the time. You might see a Tide commercial, for example, mention another brand of bleach or whatever. That happens all the time. Normally it doesn't. Normally companies don't want to advertise their competitors because they don't want people to buy their product, be upset, and then buy their competitor to get back at them. But it does happen, especially in the video game industry. We see a lot of people mention things like, oh yeah, we were inspired by Diablo or whatever. Spark, we've been waiting for you at the counter, by the way. Or I am.
Oh shit, sorry, I was busy buying stuff.
And so they mention things all the time. Back when it was id Software's first person shooter was revolutionary and stuff like that, people reference it all the time in all of their marketing. This has been happening for years. No one has ever successfully sued anybody over it. I don't think anybody's even tried suing anybody over it. So this is just...
It's just not logical.
No, it's illogical. And so they're obviously trying to sue them because Epic makes Unreal Engine 4. And so they're trying to say they're making the engine worse / better, or they're stealing our mechanics, or looking at the way we built our game, which for one, they don't have access to your source code unless you gave them your source code. So what? Because literally anybody can go and work in Unreal Engine 4. Literally anybody. Anybody can go and look at the source code for Unreal Engine 4. I doubt this is a problem because it would affect literally everyone using the engine if they were trying to do this sort of stuff. So No, they're not doing anything. They're just wanting to target them because they're popular. PUBG is losing popularity like crazy. They're losing players.
Fortnite is just growing and
they're
growing.
still making a ton of money. They're still making sales, especially over in China because they have all those cheaters, but they have lost their publicity. They're not being streamed as often. They're not, they're not picking up. They're not in major business. If you're not growing, you're dying. And PUBG is dying in that sense, which I think is a good thing because Bluehole are kind of assholes. They always have been. So,
Agreed.
like,
the
I care.
company is, yeah.
I mean, they literally have stolen assets in Terra. So, the fuck do I care? So, yeah, I don't know. I've never liked the guy either. The guy that supposedly built Battle Royale. He's an arrogant prick that thinks he kind of invented everything, and he really didn't. They've had Battle Royale modes called Hunger Games inside Minecraft before he was freaking ever in game development. So, yeah, I don't necessarily like it, and so maybe that kind of jades my opinion. But quite honestly, PUBG is just kind of an asset flip, just kind of slightly polished up a little bit, and it's not even really that polished because they just rushed it to market because they saw that Battle Royale was popular. They knew DayZ was going to fail because the main guy left, and they had to redo the engine and everything. So they're like, all right, well, we know that game's going to die, so let's go ahead and jump on this idea because it was getting popular in Minecraft, so it's going to be popular everywhere else. And so they were the first to pick up the big streamer audience and get the big publicity. But, if you don't actually keep your game up and make a good game, which they kind of failed to, then, you get taken over. It's the best dog that wins.
That's the problem with Epic. They react too fast.
Epic makes good freaking games. I'm still upset they shut down Paragon because I believe that game could have been great because they have a lot of creative people over at Epic. They've made good games in the past. So, yeah.
And they listen to their community too much.
They just know how to make a good game. Like that's simply it. Bluehole doesn't have the talent to do that, unfortunately. And I'm sure they got talented people that work there. They have some good artists, but they didn't use any of those artists on PUBG. That's for freaking sure. So, yeah, I don't know. I think PUBG is kind of failing because they built it out of a bunch of store-bought assets and they don't actually know how to build the game. And so now they're running into a problem that the game they cobbled together can't be expanded because they didn't build it to be expanded. Whereas every other Battle Royale is being built to be expanded because they realize, like, hey, this has already been successful, so we can make something more successful by, making a better game.
Yeah.
Fortnite's got a superhero theme going on at the moment.
Yeah, they keep doing events. I haven't really followed it all that much.
It's so ridiculous.
Game is ridiculous.
They're already, it's so fun. There's a crystal you can eat, and you can just jump around.
It's still not officially in beta yet, though.
They actually added a new concept for it, where there was these mushrooms, and they will give you five shields, and there's apples that will also give you 5 health. Instead of finding items in chests that also give you shields and health.
So you can find them on like tables and stuff like that?
Well, not on tables. You'll find them underneath trees.
Oh. Well, like, that fits Fortnite. I would love to see like you walk into a house and have things on the tables as well. I think that's what's kind of missing from Fortnite for me is like the discovery aspect, because once you've explored the map once, you know where everything's at.
The Save the World is more of the discovery point of it.
Well, yeah, and I haven't played that yet.
You would really love it, just saying. Anyway, back to the fact. It's not out yet. Yeah, it should be. It's rumored to be out within the next couple of months, though.
Yeah, I don't know when though. They're being pretty quiet about it, and that's because they're selling it, basically.
Yeah. Till then, awesome game.
Yeah. Spark, you said you had other news articles. Do you have any others?
I have one about a gaming display that is coming by a year's end by NVIDIA. It is a 65-inch display that is a
You just found a bunch of hardware that's coming out.
yeah, pretty much. A native 120 hertz refresh rate, and
is it IPS or OLED?
It says it runs at 4K. I don't see where it says
Just out of random curiosity, if nobody did want to open these crates, would the mobs never spawn?
Yeah, you can actually skip these enemies, but you don't get an S rank. So, I won an S rank for murdering everything, because remember, we're the good guys.
Yeah, we're going to each planet and murdering and attacking.
Murdering a bunch of innocent animals.
that are just trying to defend themselves?
I mean, they would kill us if we didn't kill them.
I mean, would you get
I
in a
could have
cage
not
with-
opened those boxes.
Would you get in a cage with a tiger?
Depends if the tiger's sexy.
What kind of talking?
Chances are they're not,
tiger are
so,
we talking
no.
about?
It depends if the tiger is sexy.
Tigers are
We're not
generally
talking about a Japanese Neko cat.
Neko.
Neko cosplay.
I am
Talking about-
doing concept sketches for a Neko cat character at the moment. I don't have anything that's showable at the moment, but I am
Oh, I'm
working
so
on
sad.
it. So I might be able to show that off next week.
You should design me a character for your game.
Well, there's a character for one of my projects. It's not this project, but the character is going to appear in the current project that I'm working on. Therefore, I need her concept done.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's a cat girl, and so I'm working
Yummy.
on that. Yup. So yeah,
Love
that
me
was
some
off
cat
topic. I have to
movies.
mention something about my game development every week. I may as well. So I have another topic talking about UK laws because we talked. Was it last week or the week before? One of these weeks, we talked about a UK law going through about online privacy and forcing publishers to basically, or developers, or anybody that has online data, the collection, you have to like fully disclose it and say what you're doing with it and say the specific ways it's captured and stuff like that. So a lot of privacy terms have been updated. A new law was presented in the EU that would make it so that they could monitor the data that goes through your basically your router or any of your internet connections, so things that you're uploading or downloading, and make it so that it was mandatory to check it for pirated content or copied IDs.
Sounds delicious.
Which is scary. So basically what that means is that when you upload something, they would read your file, compare it with hashes to other files in the database. If it matched one of those, it would cancel your connection and presumably mark you as in like participating in illegal content. This also works if you're on a website that has this side of content. So you go to a website, it compares the hash because you download data from that website, and then it says, oh, this matches our database, therefore you're marked as a pirate and cancels your connection. Now, this isn't a law that's gone through, it's only proposed, but it's kind of terrifying for a
That
number
is
of
absolutely
reasons.
scary.
So what this would do is, for one, on the user end, let's say you don't do anything illegal, right? Let's say you're 100%, oh, I just play video games and stuff like that. It's going to slow down internet connection speeds because, for one, they're making it mandatory. Therefore, ISPs would have to check the data that's going through, at least through a basic database. I assume they'd have optional databases and stuff like that. So it would slow down the connection because it would have to run through the ISP, run through a filter, and then it would pass to you or to the server, and then would have to do it both ways because it is upload and download. So for one, it would slow down your internet connection. So if you're wondering if it wouldn't affect you, this would affect literally everybody inside the UK. Or the EU.
No.
Sorry, not the UK. EU.
And people connecting from the outside in, too.
Yes, and so if a server is also in the EU, which I connect to plenty of EU servers because I do multiple things in different parts of the world, basically, and I play a lot of foreign games as well. Basically, also, I get a lot of better connections from EU servers on a lot of games as well that have cross-server saves, and so that's another reason why I connect to a lot of them. But it would actually, slow down everyone else connecting to those as well. So if your server is hosted in UK, or the EU, sorry, I keep saying UK because I'm used to bashing on the UK right now, but they're technically not part of the EU, although they might reverse that. That's political stuff. Regardless, in the EU, then it would just slow down that server and probably make it more expensive as well because you're going to be paying for that data, like hell the ISPs are. So, yeah, it's scary for that reason. Number two, privacy. If you want any of your data being private, this just makes it so there's another vector for somebody getting your data. Somebody could end up intercepting, even if you're not doing anything illegal. Again, let's say you're passing a password off to a website and it's encrypted or whatever. This gives attackers another vector. It gives them the filter at the ISP to check. And this filter could end up altering data. We don't know yet because it's obviously not passed and we don't have any example technology. All we have is basic blockers and stuff like that, like ad blockers and stuff like that for types of filters. But it's scary for the fact that that gives attackers another vector. And let's say somebody hacks into that onto an ISP, all of a sudden they have all this data that's being checked for a bunch of hashes, which is scary because hashes can be repeated. Therefore, it increases the chance of people finding duplicate hashes, which means that counterfeit data could end up increasing as well, which is not good, depending on the hash they're going to use, which is most likely going to be SHA-5 because they're idiots. So, yeah. Not only is it scary for that reason, but let's say you end up doing any sort of questionable content. Let's say, for example, I do a lot of hacks. For hacking stuff, you have to go through a lot of like hacking programs. A lot of industries don't really like hacking programs all that much. Let's say Cheat Engine, for example, which is specifically designed for cheating, quite frankly. But I use it to make, let's say, 60 FPS patches like I did for this game. I used it as my vector to find variables and used it to actually produce the entire hack. I also did a bunch of memory navigation, stuff like that, using tools, but they can end up blocking tools or make it so the tool files and stuff like that, like those files are specifically in this filter and they can be like, oh, hey, we want to block these. They can make it so that they can end up blocking other types of software. Let's say emulators, for example, or let's say it's a specific indie game or something along those lines. There's also the idea that what if the wrong file gets checked? What if there's a file that's put in, or maybe there's a hash that's put in that has a duplicate somewhere and they end up finding that duplicate, then there's ended up being spoofing or incorrect variables running around or whatever, and so people are being improperly tagged. Let's say somebody uploads a legitimate game, but then somebody pirates it, but the game doesn't have DRM, but that game ends up being marked as pirated and gets put into the filter. Then when you download the game legitimately, then you run into problems with filters, which means the advanced filter would have to also check things like domains, slowing it down even farther. It would have to check things like, the sources, where it's going to, and then all of a sudden you get into a situation to where, in able to verify everything and see if it's legitimate or not, you have to end up going into licensing, which means that you're going to have to log in and somehow. The ISP is going to have data on what you actually purchase and what you don't, what you subscribe to and what you don't, to actually, verify all this data, because again, it would have been mandatory. Which is, again, terrifying on the fact that now, not only do attackers have another vector, again, but ISPs now all of a sudden have all of your data. You walked right into that trap. So yeah, and there's also the fact that filters don't work. Quite frankly, I could already think of 101 ways to crack through a filter. So let's say they, end up using hashes, or let's say they use something, or basic file checking even, because, they're not really going to do anything besides hashes because there's no other way to do that efficiently. Let's just say you need to change a hash. Find a spot in the program that has a bunch of zeros that's unused by the program. Put a 1 in there. Done. Hash is different. Hash has been changed. It no longer sees it as the same exact file. Oh, let's say it's a compressed file that they ended up marking as pirated, right? Let's say it's pirated content, or maybe it's a tool or a hacking tool or something along those lines. It's like, oh, we'll just recompress it with a different algorithm, or we'll just recompress it with a seed, or we'll just add an encryption to it and it'll change the hash because it's a different file. Like, there's no things about that. What about procedural encryption when you end up going down into download sites like Steam, for example, which is one of the reasons why I wouldn't affect Steam specifically. But, it's going to have a different download code and different file names depending on what you're, kind of doing with it, because it's dependent on who's downloading content, depending on what files you end up downloading. But how do you actually fix that? I swear you did that on purpose.
I hate you.
How did you not see it?
I thought you would have seen it. It's very, very obvious.
I'm just gonna go to Evan, and then boom, trapped.
You can see him on the floor, by the way. But then how do you end up preventing that? How do you prevent them from just changing up that? Well, then you end up looking at the files within the folder or whatever, within your general hash that would end up being this entire program or whatever. But then you end up going into problems with redistributables. What if a file inside of that program that's been marked as pirated or illegal or whatever, what if it includes something like, let's say it's a simple JavaScript file, or it's like a Google JavaScript file that's included in tons and tons of software? What if it's Ajax, for example, like Google's Ajax, which is just a JavaScript jQuery? That's included in pretty much anything that's designed in HTML5. So let's say they actually have a game, for example, just using video games as an example here. It's not specific to video games, but let's just say it's a video game, for example, and then it contains that file because it has a built-in browser or something like that. like let's say Black Desert, for example, includes it because they have a built-in browser. Many MMOs, League of Legends has it in their launcher because they use a bunch of web stuff. So anything that uses basically web interfaces that uses any HTML5 or JavaScript would basically have this Ajax because it's incredibly popular and everyone already has it downloaded. But somebody on a new machine, they try to download this game, it finds that Ajax file. Oh, this is included in this pirated copy of this or whatever, and it's been marked as illegal. Blocks that file. All of a sudden, all of your HTML stuff stops working. You're breaking websites across the board because you can't download an Ajax file to actually run some websites properly. My website wouldn't load videos. YouTube wouldn't load videos because all of a sudden you're blocking that JavaScript file. And so this law is ridiculous and has a bunch of freaking problems. So it's not going through yet, but yeah, warning people in the EU. This won't affect us in the US all that much. It'll affect EU companies a lot, but it won't really affect US companies because, again, the US isn't going to do something like this. At least I hope not. I don't know. We've been passing a lot of stupid laws, so it could happen. But again, this is something to be worried about. So do watch that, and it's always kind of important to watch out for who's monitoring what. A lot of people have been suggesting, looking into Tor or I2P, I think is what it is. I can't remember if it's an I or an L. Basically, anonymous torrents and stuff like that. So, yeah, and if you're curious on that type of stuff, Computer File has a bunch of great videos on them. So if you're interested in that, they have some really good basic stuff on that. But, yeah. Scary stuff going on in the EU because they just recently passed that whole privacy thing, which seemed like a good idea. However, ended up killing off a lot of smaller companies and a lot of smaller games because they just couldn't comply with it. And now we're also going to see it affect ISPs as well, which I don't know how many smaller ISPs are in the EU. But it'll also make it so that they have extra overhead that they also have to deal with, which is another problem. This law is ridiculous. It's incredibly stupid and obviously made by people that don't understand anything about tech. But yeah. Anyways, I thought I'd bring that up because I saw it. That's all I have to say about it.
Yeah. What I have to say about that is that I'm just wondering if they would have the infrastructure necessary to pull something like that off anyways.
I can guarantee you they don't.
And
they would rely on the ISPs to do it. They would rely on the ISPs to do it, and the problem is the ISPs are not, there's going to be large ISPs, I'm sure, but I'm sure there's small ISPs that just wouldn't be able to handle it, and we're going to see a repeat from what we just saw happen with the other UK laws that went through, to where it was like, oh, you have to disclose all this information and all this data that you end up collecting and stuff like that, but they just don't have the infrastructure to do it. It costs money to develop those tools. If you don't develop it that way to begin with, and even if you're developing it from to begin with, it costs money to do that. It costs time. It costs resources. You have to hire somebody to do that. And I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, the privacy thing is a good idea,
but
it's not so much the idea of doing it so much as it's the idea of enforcing it and making it mandatory that kind of bothers businesses. Now for this, obviously, I think the idea of making it possible is kind of, because in the US we've been struggling with net neutrality recently, which is a whole deal I won't get into. But we've been struggling with that. And in Washington State, we actually said hey, this isn't good for consumers. It's not good for businesses. It's not good for anybody. So we're going to make our own.
Tweeted out that
laws.
He was that he was going to protect us too about that.
Yeah, and the EU just doesn't care. They're just whatever. We don't care about your privacy. We're just going to go through, and apparently they're screwing over smaller companies too. And I don't think they're necessarily doing it intentionally. They're just trying to combat things like piracy, which it will help with the minor piracy. It will stop 5-year-olds from pirating games, but or anything really, not just games. I keep mentioning games, but this isn't specific to video games. It's everything. Let's say software, movies, anything digital. It'll stop minor piracy. Let's say just some 5-year-old wanting to watch a movie and the parents whatever, I'll just fucking pirate it, whatever. Or, leaks of, let's say, what's a popular TV show? Is Breaking Bad still popular? I don't know. Game of Thrones, that one's popular.
There you go. Perfect.
Pirated copies of Thrones, whatever. Yeah, it'll stop basic ones. But people who actually want it, they're just going to go to a new source, and that new source is going to be anonymous, or they're going to be going around the filters like I talked about already. It's not difficult to do.
Filtration systems are super easy to do. All you have to do is change domain name servers.
Yeah, and it could be even easier than that. If they're just checking hashes and stuff like that too, just change the file, change your encryption method, You can have a dynamic torrent now.
Done.
BitTorrent supports dynamic torrents.
For them to enforce hash checking and all that, they would have to like disallow VPNs and all that too.
Yeah, and that's another concern. That's already been passing through the EU to where they've tried to do that before. I don't know the specifics on that because I don't live in the EU, so I didn't follow it very far, but they tried that. It didn't go through.
No, that doesn't work because businesses use VPNs.
Exactly.
A lot of
That's why.
businesses
That's
use
probably one of the
VPNs.
reasons why it didn't go through. There's a lot of good uses for that. It's kind of like when everyone was saying that torrents are bad, but then you realize that companies are using torrents all the time. Torrents aren't bad. It's what specific people do with torrents that's bad.
Yeah, it's the common use case for them that's bad.
Yeah, I mean, you could talk about guns, for example. That's a topical one that's really political that I won't get into. But, guns specifically, they're not bad. We use them in a lot of good ways, and we use them for recreation. But they can also kill people.
Yeah.
Depends on the person using it and the intention or the mistakes. So, yeah, that's 100%.
Very well put. I like
What's
the way you
going.
put that.
I mean, I've been saying that for years. I am kind of an
I'm on the
advocate for
same
that
page
stuff.
as well. I'm on the same page with that shit. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's always who uses it. Like, a tool is a tool. Like, I can kill somebody with a
Yep.
screwdriver if I wanted to. Like,
why?
that's the whole
Or
point.
you could be John Wick and kill somebody with a pencil.
You could. It's possible. It has happened.
John Wick has proven this.
The difference is a pencil can't kill 30 people with 30 bullets.
Well, I mean, John Wick can kill 30 people with a single pencil.
Okay, John Wick can, but us mere mortals, we struggle with it a little bit.
He's immortal.
Do we have any other news going on?
I think that's about it for
Past
me.
what I have, that was pretty much it.
I do have some other stuff. I did want to mention something real quick. Let me go ahead and look it up. Because, these go on for a while, so I kind of forget. Sorry for the flash on the screen. I can't remember what it was, so apparently it wasn't that important. Might have already. Oh, there's an article about the phone. Oh, Devil May Cry 5. There is a domain name that has been registered by Capcom. So we might actually get an
nice.
E3 reveal.
Oh, yummy.
That is
They better
exciting.
not go with the new design or I'm going to be upset.
Supposedly it's going to be the old design if it's 5, because that would be a direct sequel to 4. I like the new design. I don't mind it. I like the old design better, I won't lie, but I like the new one's direction better, gameplay-wise.
Oh, yeah.
I actually like DMC. I love that game. It's
DMC. Oh, yeah. No, don't get me wrong. It's fun. It just didn't feel like Dante. You know what I mean? Didn't feel like the
It does
classic
near the
Dante.
end.
It does.
It does
I
near the
personally,
end.
but-
I personally felt like it felt exactly like him, except a newer version of him, a more updated.
Oh, here it is.
retrospect of
Okay.
him.
I can't believe I couldn't remember this. So, for one, yes,
Like
it did kind of
a
feel like
younger
Dante,
version.
because that is Dante's personality, but it wasn't campy enough until like near the end of the game.
Well, because
Yeah,
I feel
that's
like
what
it
I
was just
mean.
the younger version of him.
Yeah, it's a more stuck-up younger version of it.
Exactly.
Okay, so this has to do with fighting games. So sorry for the flashing on stream, by the way. So Arc System Works. They make some amazing fighting games, but they also have some ridiculous streaming cases. So the story mode for the new BlazBlue game that's coming out, which is Trigger or whatever, did it already come out? I can't remember if it came out or not yet. I think it's coming out. I don't think it's released yet. Maybe it is. I'm not 100% sure. I don't really follow it that often. But they've made streaming rules. And they did this for the last one as well, but they were actually just targeting games in general, so it was kind of a bad deal, and they got some negative PR for that. There's other ones like, what's the name? Fucking publishers of Persona. Fuck, I can't remember their name at the moment. But yeah, so basically they've been getting a lot of flack for that. So they actually made out a statement to where they're like, hey, don't stream the story mode. We want you to share clips of our, multiplayer matches and things like that and the actual gameplay, but don't show any story because we will shut your channel down on like YouTube or Twitch or whatever. And so basically they're threatening people, but they're saying like, don't, as long as it doesn't show story content, they're like, hey, you can show the first like chapter or two, but anything beyond that, you risk your channel. And so, yeah, it's annoying to say the least, because I get it. not wanting people to spoil your story. But what if that's how people want to what if that's what people want to experience? What if they want to experience it through their favorite streamer playing it, or their favorite YouTuber, or maybe they just don't want to be bothered to play through the story mode? Watch it, right?
I can understand that because I've done that through some of the Final Fantasy games.
Now,
Some
these stuck-up
people don't have the time to
CEOs...
sit-
Sorry?
Go ahead.
You don't have time to sit through the story mode, right? Yeah.
What I was trying to say is that some people, they work very long jobs, and sometimes all they have is playthroughs to play and watch video games between their day jobs.
Yeah, and let's say they wanted to play BlazBlue, for example. Like, let's say they own the game, right? And they just, okay, but they're not good enough to play through the story mode, or they don't have enough time. They just go through, they have one random match, and then that's all they have time for. It's like, I do that with Guilty Gear all the time. Fantastic freaking game. I can't get good at it because I don't have the hours to spend on getting good at that game. So, yeah, there's some content in that game I just can't play because it requires too much skill, quite frank. Yeah, so that's a perfect point. The problem is these stuck-up CEOs, they're like, well, if they're watching the story on YouTube, they're not buying the game. They don't get it, quite frankly. Now, at least they're being more fair than some other companies and being more fair than their previous policies, which was just don't stream the game whatsoever. Don't, show your matches or anything, which is obviously stupid. They kind of retroactively fixed themselves immediately after they started taking down BlazBlue videos, and so that was a whole controversy over a year or two ago. I think it was 2 years ago when the last BlazBlue game came out. So that was a big deal. Persona was the last one that ended up doing that, to where they were just taking down channels left and right, but they were leaving some up, and it was a big controversy. Like, don't stream it at all, and everyone's like, screw that, we're going to stream it anyways, and so a lot of people did. So that was a disaster. And so, blocking this sort of stuff is just, it doesn't work, quite frankly. You get into the whole filter problem because you're relying on things like, DMCA claims, which somebody streaming your story is still in the gray area when it comes down to the law. And so, yeah, but that was just more of a warning more than anything, to where if you're planning to stream the new BlazBlue game or wanting to go watch videos of it, do be aware that they are taking down videos that contain story, which I think is dumb. I say...
I kind of think it's dumb as well, to be
I say
honest.
make your game and story good enough that people want to play through it themselves.
Exactly.
Done.
If it's not... if they're deciding they don't want to buy it just because somebody's playing or streaming it, then
you
they
made
probably don't want to buy it to begin with.
Yeah, they weren't going to buy it to begin with, or you didn't make a very good game. I can think of plenty of examples. But yeah, I think that idea is ridiculous, because it's obviously advertising. It's free advertising for a lot of people. A lot of games are very successful. We were talking about PUBG and Fortnite. They are obviously very successful because of the streamer base, because that helped build up their popularity. It made people know about it, and all the media that's been shared around it has made those games very successful. Now, a lot of people have made the counter argument that it's a fighting game and it's BlazBlue. Who the fuck cares about BlazBlue story mode? Which I've got to say I quite honestly agree with most of the time. I know there's people out there that do care. There are people that follow it, but for the most part, none of us care. And so it's not really that big of a deal. But it's just the general idea and the audacity of it. It's just really annoying to see it. And obviously it's a Japanese company, and Japanese companies are super behind on this stuff. And so, yeah, that's annoying. Sega, on the other hand, said that you can stream Shining Resonance when it comes out, according to their official
Yummy.
Twitter. So
Love it.
I might stream that game. I'm so excited for that, and I shouldn't be. It's probably not even going to be that good. People are saying it's the worst Shining game, and I'm like, I don't care what you people say. You people are just nostalgic for Shining Force, which, to be honest, wasn't very good. Which came back on the Genesis. It was a very low-tier tactics game, to be honest. But, yeah. I mean, that's the U.S. market. I'm sure the Japanese market loved it because it sold freaking millions multiple times. So, whatever. I'm excited for it. Don't ruin my enjoyment. That's the last news article I think I had. I think.
Hello. Konnichiwa. Konpawa.
That was fun.
That was fun.
Any other closing comments? Evan, want to bring up anime real quick?
New Boku no Hero. Amazing. Oh my god.
Wait, wasn't that last week?
Well, yeah, there's a new episode every week, motherfucker.
Oh god,
What's
so you're
up?
going to mention it every Monday?
I mean, I can.
May as well.
Boku no Hero. Oh, by the way, the new episode of High School DxD, which is a very hilarious anime. It's about boobs. There's a boob dragon in there. He's a pervert. It's a harem.
Dragon.
Yeah, he becomes the Oppai dragon.
Oh God.
Oh,
Oppai dragon.
Great.
He hurts.
classic
He's
Japan. Never
killing.
change.
He's killing the pride of his.
Hey, I was talking about a game with butt lasers, so.
He's killing his pride of the dragon. Because the dragon's just like, this is too embarrassing to be known as the Oppai dragon.
That's lovely.
That newest episode was really good. New One Piece came out as well. One Piece is always amazing.
I saw some
Big
media
Mama.
about that
Aren't they
earlier.
ending that series soon or something?
No,
No, because it makes
No.
money.
no, that's got like over 1,000 episodes, and they can continue that story for as long as they want.
Oh yeah, I remember. It's like one of the longest animes out there compared
It
to some like
is
children's show.
The longest anime running.
Well, there was another one
Period.
that was like
No.
2,000 episodes.
I doubt it.
I
Pull
see.
it
Well, it
up.
wasn't technically in the traditional anime style, but it was still a Japanese cartoon.
I don't believe you.
There might have been
me look
shorts
it
that
up real
have been,
quick.
but I don't think they were full shows.
No,
They weren't like full show. Okay,
If they were
let's
shorts,
be
I
real.
can
Fully
understand.
fledged animes, One Piece has the most episodes.
Yeah,
But when it comes to this one's like a little kiddies cartoon kind of thing.
So
Was
in
it
other
about a
words,
cat?
It's got
I think
10-minute
so.
videos.
Yep. So it's a short. They made like 2,000 of them back in the 90s. I
mean,
know
what is it,
exactly
like
what you're
10
talking
minutes
about because I
long?
watched it as a kid.
But anyway, yes. One Piece
Evan, do you remember
episode.
that thing to where I showed you it was a cat and it's super cute, but each
Yes.
episode was like 12 seconds? I
Oh.
think that's what he's talking about.
Ah,
There's like 2,000 of those.
well, I
Yeah.
wouldn't rate that along with that.
No, it's not the
Anybody
same
can
thing.
make-
It's
But
a
it's
short.
technically
I'm murdering
still
trees.
anime.
Yeah, but it's 12 seconds long.
Technically, The Simpsons is an anime because it's an animation.
I would be okay if you compared Simpsons.
How many episodes does that have?
It has a lot, not as many.
It does have
Not
a
as
lot.
many as One Piece, guaranteed.
It has a
Maybe
lot.
actually,
agree.
maybe
No,
it could.
I
has
don't know.
900
This is facts we're
episodes.
gonna have to look up after the show.
it
No,
has
look it up
900.
now. Screw it. We ain't ending the show until we
Okay,
know.
okay, putting the controller down. Muted my speakers on accident. Okay, let's look this up.
I'm pretty sure it's at the 900 mark.
That sounds
And
about
One
right.
Piece, and One Piece is probably, I think, is now at the 100 or 1,000.
They have broadcast 639 episodes so far.
Wow, they're
Nope,
not even
just
at
kidding.
900 yet.
Nope, just kidding.
Oh, fucking scrubs.
I gave them too much benefit of the doubt. I'm so sorry.
Hey, but that's still pretty good.
That is quite a bit, actually.
It is a lot.
I don't really like The Simpsons anymore, though. To be honest, I think they're downhill.
I stopped enjoying.
Simpsons
I've
has kind
never
of dropped
enjoyed
into
it.
mediocrity.
Hmm.
Didn't Matt Groening stop like writing the show?
Rick, if I know. I don't know anything about it, to be honest.
Goldova defeated.
Anyways, we are running out of time, so we may as well do our closing comments.
Closing comments. Remember to check me out on Twitch, Evan the Tank. Oh yeah,
He streams Fortnite a lot. If you like that,
a lot of
boring crap.
Fortnite. I love Fortnite. Save the world.
Yeah, mostly
Doing
PvE
it.
though, so it's
Oh,
semi-interesting.
Space Doll here if someone
Which
wants
is
it.
save the world.
You actually see your
No,
own drops, so we actually don't
You
see
don't. I literally left
it.
everything.
You can
laying
send
on
your
the floor.
escape doll to your storage. So if you go into your menu and just click on it, then you can go to send to storage.
Yeah, send your escape
Or shared
doll to
storage. I couldn't remember what they called it in this game.
and then pick up a new one. See, look,
Yep.
I picked it up.
Spark, do you have anything that you plug yet?
Not yet. Nope.
Not yet.
Spark
check
plug-in.
check him out on the Broken Chatbox Discord. Links are below. And so, yeah. Oh, hey, King in chat asked, what's your opinion on Fallout 76? We talked about it like an hour ago. You can check out the archive or whatever that's going to end up going up after this and stuff like that. So, yeah, we ended up talking about it. We're excited for it, but it's all just rumors. And so we don't actually know what's coming up yet. So,
Hopefully, it does have multiplayer, because then
Yeah.
I'll get it.
Oh
But
my
if it
god, we got a
doesn't-
special stage!
Oh, we have
Okay,
to keep the stream
it's
up
not
for
ending
this.
yet.
Oh.
It's not ending yet.
Nope.
So, okay, well, okay. I'll do my closing comments, then we'll talk about Fallout 76, and then we'll close it out. So, anyways, I'm Michael. You can go ahead and check out my YouTube and stuff like that. If you want to check out the archive, links on the screen and stuff like that. We're going to fight a special boss, so we ain't ending yet. But I actually have some plans for videos this week, so if you actually want to see some interesting stuff, I'm finally getting some reviews done. I fixed up my schedule a little bit, so I actually have like 4 different videos coming out this week. They're going to be fairly interesting. So I'm going to be talking about piracy in one video. I'm going to have a review for Neptunia, 4 Goddesses Online, which I'm super late on. I actually have that coming out Wednesday. Wow. Okay, I think it's dead.
Well, that was short.
Well, it's because I'm here.
And then basically I have a bunch of other stuff coming out. I have a designing variables for design view and stuff like that. So interesting stuff. Fallout 76, I'm interested in it, but it is basically just rumors. We don't actually know all the info about it. So yeah, we have it confirmed that it's going to have a quest line. And that's about it. But if it ends up being some online multiplayer survival game, I'm kind of worried that it'll fall into the trap to where it ends up being just like all the rest of them, which would be boring. But if it ends up doing anything interesting and unique, that would be cool. Because supposedly Fallout 76 is like the first one that opens or something like that. I don't actually know the lore, but that's what I've heard people say. And so it might just be an open wasteland to where everyone goes around and just builds stuff. But we don't actually have any confirmed gameplay. Unless it's come up. It might have come up recently, but I haven't seen anything today, so I don't necessarily know. And I know news sites would be all over that because it's Bethesda. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're on Twitch, make sure to check out my YouTube channel. Links there, and you can check out Evan and check out Spark on the Broken Discord. And of course, if you end up liking this series, you can end up checking us out next week. We stream every Monday at 6 p.m. PST or whatever other time zones, whatever. And you can check out the archive on my YouTube or here on Twitch. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.